What's up everybody, it's Drew Wilkins with Swine and Bovine Barbecue, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make some absolutely delicious direct heat baby back ribs. Let's get going. Direct heat baby backs. We've got a great looking rack of baby back ribs here. We're going to trim them up. There's not much to do. We've got a little bit of a shiner right here, which simply means that the bone is showing through the meat. So we're going to remove that. Just a nice sharp knife. Save it for sausage. Over here on the other side, thick bone side, this bone is sticking out right there. It's not going to do us any good, so we're going to take it off as well. And there's some cartilage pieces over here you want to be aware of, like right here, so you wanted to miss that. Don't want to hit your knife on that. I leave the membrane on direct heat ribs. I think it adds character, has a nice little snap to it, and helps lock in flavor. So I'm not going to remove the membrane. That's a shiner right there too, so I am going to remove that. This rack is shrinking. Thought it was a great looking rack, but it happens. Not a big deal, so we'll just cut that off. It'll go into some sausage, but now these are ready to season. Per usual, for direct heat ribs, I'm going on with just kosher salt and coarse black pepper. So a nice even coating of kosher salt. Get the sides and back here. I've always found it's a little easier to do it on baby backs when they're membrane side up. Just the angle of them tends to work better for me to salt them and pepper them this way. Get the sides. For direct heat ribs, I like using a little more coarse black pepper, so I'm going with 12 mesh black pepper. That old cracked black pepper look I really like, and this 12 mesh does a really good job of having presentation factor of it while providing the great peppery bite that we're looking for in our direct heat ribs. Flip them over, do the exact same thing to the other side. Ribs are sufficiently seasoned, so let's go fire up the pit. Shed box is cruising along nicely at 300 degrees. Gonna put these baby backs right in the middle, kind of scrunch them up, make sure they're nice and even. Shut them down, let them go for about an hour-ish, then we'll flip them over once the underside has the color that we want. Went a little heavy with the charcoal. We've been rolling about 350, had some big old lump pieces in there that are burning a little hotter than I anticipated. No biggie, it happens. We're just gonna flip these a little earlier. It's been about 45 minutes. Got some great color on the backside. The edges look absolutely fantastic. So, gonna flip these over, let them go meat side down. We'll check them, assuming it stays at 350, we'll check them here in 30-45 minutes, see how the color's looking. But in the meantime, let's go make a mop sauce. To start off our mop sauce, we're gonna go in with half a stick of butter. Our butter is melted down, so we're gonna go in with a sliced Fresno pepper, as well as half of a yellow onion. Onions have softened up a bit, so we're gonna go in with half a lemon. Then some apple cider vinegar, some white vinegar. Then we're gonna mix it up and use a barbecue sauce this time for our primary flavor source. All this other ingredients, the vinegar, the butter, the onions, will add flavor and actually help thin the barbecue sauce out, but this is gonna be our primary flavor focus. We're gonna add a fair amount of barbecue sauce and give it a mix. Just like that, our mop sauce is done. Let's go check on the ribs. 40 minutes later, and our ribs are looking good. So we're gonna go ahead and flip these over. I mean, look at that color. They look absolutely incredible. I love the way pepper looks on these ribs. Just absolutely love it. We've got color on both sides. Look fantastic. The pit did cool down to about 325, so wasn't at 350 the whole time, but these are looking good. We still have some ways to go on tenderness. Starting to rip a little bit there, but not fully tender yet. Let's go get our mop sauce and hit these. If you've seen me mop a rib before, it is super simple. Just dip it in our mop sauce here, then come over the top of the rib. Super, super simple. These are looking good. Gonna let them go for 10 more minutes. We'll come back and mop them until they're ready. About 20 minutes later, and these are done. So I mopped them the first time, which you saw. Mopped them one other time, which I did off camera 10 minutes later. It's been 10 minutes since then, so we're gonna hit them with a mop one more time, pull them, and let them rest. Just gonna lightly mop them one last time. All right, our ribs are off. I'm gonna put a little bit of our mop in this foil. Not too much, the ribs already have a fair amount on them, but enough to keep them nice and moist. Put these down, put a little on the top here. I'm gonna wrap these up, let them rest. Once they've cooled down to about 140, we'll dig in. Loosely wrap them. Our ribs have rested and they are ready to eat. Looking absolutely delicious. The mop sauce was cooked onto the ribs. We've got a little on top from when we basted them before wrapping them in foil, but these are ready to go and I couldn't be more excited. Per usual on ribs, I go bone side down when I cut. So we're gonna flip these over, just follow the bones. I'm not good at guessing. I've screwed up bark on ribs and I find that I don't really lose much bark when I go this way. See, I can't even do this right. Gotta watch out for that cartilage I was talking about earlier when trimming. It's time to dig in. The work is done, super easy ribs. 2 hours and 30 minutes to cook, and we have an absolutely delicious direct heat baby back rib. Cheers. You got to give direct heat ribs a try if you haven't already. I know I beat the hell out of the direct heat drum on this channel, but it's because it really is that good and worth it. If you don't have a direct heat cooker like this, although I think Chud is about to start selling some new ones, so keep your eye out on that. Couldn't recommend getting a Chud Pit more, or a Chud box more. Then, as I've mentioned before, use your Komodo Joe with the expander. Use your Big Green Egg with the expander. Don't cook at 300 because it's more of a confined domed heat source than this is. Cook a little lower, maybe start at 225. If that doesn't work, bump it up to 250. But just practice, try it, and you can make some incredible ribs. Weber Smoky Mountain is a great thing to make like this. I know I'm like on repeat when I talk about this stuff, but it's because it's just so good. The flavor you get from the fat dripping down on the coals. And there's not a ton of fat in baby backs. That's why it's kind of nice to switch them out. There's not a fat, but there's a ton of moisture in these. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but these are some juicy ribs. But yeah, that's one of the nice things about baby backs is you can motor through a whole rack of baby backs because there's not much fat associated with them. So it's nice to switch it up every now and then. I love full-size spare ribs from a barbecue perspective, but you know, a few of those with that knuckle meat and maybe even one of them and I'm stuffed. St. Louis spares, I can motor through more of those because you get rid of some of that fattier knuckle meat, but you're kind of missing out some of the best part of it, which is that fattier knuckle meat. But baby backs, they still have a lot of flavor and you can motor through them. They're stupid good. And mop sauces, make them your own. What do you like? Do you like butter? Do you like onions? Do you like peppers? Do you like barbecue sauce? Do you like acid? I like all those things, so that's how I came up with this mop sauce, right? A lot of the mop sauces I've learned through Chud's Barbecue, so if you don't know him, which I'm sure you probably do if you are watching my channel, make sure and go and check out his direct heat videos because he's got a lot of insight on it as well. But mop sauces are essentially cooking on the flavor you want to your meat beyond just the salt and pepper we seasoned with, and these are seasoned perfectly. Whatever you like, make it to a mop sauce, taste it. If it needs adjusting, adjust a little more, and then you've got yourself a mop sauce. It doesn't have to be exactly how I've done it here. It doesn't have to be exactly how I've done it in other videos. It's essentially an apparatus for adding flavor and cooking flavor onto your meat. And much like I talked about in the wing video last week, cooking flavor onto your meat, getting the caramelization that occurs when it's under a higher heat setting versus just saucing these after the fact, completely changes the flavor profile. So don't just do it on this kind of ribs. You know, it helps when you make normal ribs on an offset smoker. I'm gonna keep beating my direct heat drum until I'm tired of it, so I'm gonna beat it forever. But you really need to give these ribs a shot. Yeah, and one thing I would note too with direct heat is don't throw something overly sweet on the direct heat pit. You are cooking directly above coals, so it does have a greater chance to caramelize and potentially burn. That's why all you really need is salt and pepper, really in any barbecue for that facet. And if you want to add a sweeter flavor, add it towards the end, whether that be sauce, a mop sauce. Obviously that barbecue sauce had a little sweetness in it. And love Salt Lick barbecue sauce, by the way. It's available most everywhere. So If you make this and want to make that mop sauce instead of developing your own, I highly recommend that sauce because it's incredible. I like the spicy because I like things spicy. It's why I put a Fresno pepper in my mop sauce. But if you are going to add some sweetness to it, don't do it on the front end, especially if you're cooking something for a couple of hours. I did direct heat chicken, and direct heat chicken maybe takes an hour. It cooks really, really quick because I like to go hotter. I've put a sweeter homemade rub on it before, and it caramelizes quickly. So be careful if you use a rub with a bunch of sugar in it, as it will likely get too dark and probably burn up. That's why I prefer adding sugars at the end of the cook. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. If you have anything that you want me to cook in the future, please leave it in the comments below. And also, if you cook anything that I make here in this video or my other videos, please tag me on Instagram. My handle is @SwineandBovineBBQ. Thanks for watching this one. We'll catch you in the next one.